hello, Shakti Shiva Academy community. I have with me this evening Joy Taylor, and she is based in California. Welcome, Joy. Where
Hello.
exactly in California are you now? In Mount Shasta?
Yes, which is about an hour from the border to Oregon. So we are far, far north. Yeah.
Excellent. And Joy and I are going to chat about her visit to South Africa about a year ago. And I am curious, Joy, to speak into that call, that first call, that longing of your being. How did that manifest for you? What did it look like?
Right. Because I mean, how did a girl from, at the time I was living in Maui, end up in South Africa for 3 months?
Yeah.
It was never on my radar to go to South Africa, possibly going to Africa. You know, the call to that continent in and of itself is pretty profound. But what my call was had to do much more with this desire to embody more of my true nature, to get in touch with my femininity, to awaken more of my sexuality, and to explore Tantra as a path of totality and awakening. And it was Shakti Milan, who came from Cape Town and used to teach. She's no longer in body. And it was her teachings, her videos, and then her book, Sexual Awakening for Women, that introduced me to South Africa and the Shakti Shiva Academy, which brought me to you. So that was really it. Like, oh, there's something about finding a teacher or a lineage or a vibration that matches, and Shakti's energetic and the way that she teaches, and I say teaches because she still teaches. She teaches through you. She teaches through her book, her videos, but the totality of who we be and the possibility of using our energy centers and our bodies and our pleasure and our enjoyment and our fullness of life to become who we really are. So when we meet a teacher, it's a rare thing. It's a gift it's a gift. And I really believe when we find those books or those teachers that speak to us at a soul level, that have enough of a resonance with who we be and our path, follow it where it takes you. And it first actually took me to taking this book and inviting 3 girlfriends to do a book study club together on Maui. We have all remained such amazing friends. I mean, in fact, Sage and I are now teaching. We're co-facilitating programs together. And then I wanted more. Wow. And so fate, destiny, circumstances allowed me to take that year off and explore myself.
Yeah. So after following that call, answering the call, that deep knowing, that body knowing that there was something there for you, and that, following that yes, that embodied yes. I mean, that is the movement towards embodiment, is when we have a full-bodied yes for more aliveness, for our transformation and our healing. Once that was really solid in you, then comes the practical part, the process of that. Can you speak a little to, because it's no mean feat to organize a year's sabbatical in Africa.
Yeah, it was the year off was pretty open-ended, and I was traveling with my beloved at the time, Kirk. We're no longer living together, still friends, but we of course we traveled on from South Africa, but initially it was, yes, let's go meet more of the people of the Shakti Shiva Academy and Shakti's colleagues, her teachers and her students.
Hmm.
Because at that point too, Rianne, I had already taken a class with you.
Yeah, that's correct.
An online class, was
it the Desire, Fear, and Taboo that you had done? Yeah.
It was. Yeah, absolutely. And of course, that was an amazing, brilliant class. And there were people from all over, from Europe to the United States to South Africa. And then we reached out to you as our like anchor there, as our as a key person, and said, we are looking at coming to South Africa for a month. At that point, it turned into 2, and we stayed for 3. And in that initial conversation with you, you were so open and helpful. And we began to put our trip together. You know, you gave us the heads up on places to stay and Airbnbs. And then it just so happened there was the Andrew Barnes retreat that you were putting on at the Bodhi Kai. So it was already just coming into motion. Honestly, it was not a small feat, but it really felt like it was very graced. The timing was right on track. And we reached out to a couple of the other faculty of the Shakti Shiva Academy with just simply emails saying, we love Shakti. She's become a core teacher. We've reached out to Rianne, we've taken the class, you know, how might we explore more of these teachings through the different faculty? Yeah. The details came together, you know, buy a ticket, book some Airbnbs.
I seem to remember it was relatively effortless and easy for you. It's sort of that revealing and organic unfolding as you followed your knowing was grace, right?
It really felt like an important, and it was a game changer. It was a life changer to go and do the work that actually happened there and to play the play. But there was such a combination. It was all of it, you know, it was all of it, but always quite welcome and nurturing and instant community. I felt so akin, but I think that once again, it's of course, because we're on a similar path. We already resonate to the teachings of that brilliance that Shakti and some of her colleagues come together and offer.
Yeah.
So
then the journey, and it was a deep journey, and you did many things and met many people and went to lots of places. So share with us some of what stood out for you.
I laugh because I deeply feel it often. And because I'm coming to this year anniversary, actually, we were there in the months of March, April, and May. So I'm in this kind of review. Even my phone is like reminding me of the pictures I took a year ago. And so this has been happening. And so the highlights are many. Loved Cape Town and staying in Scarborough, that artist community that is full of awakened people and magic and health food stores. I was actually so surprised at how much wellness is acknowledged and supported. The yoga surf shop with the totally awesome vegan meals. And there were 2 other vegan and healthy and organic cafes, really amazing beach walks. The nature around Scarborough, the hiking with you. I remember that day we went out in the rain. And then going to Bodhi Kai Retreat Center, the Eco Retreat Center, and we went twice in our 3 months. First for the Andrew Barnes retreat, which you put on. What was it? Crazy wisdom de-armoring.
Body de-armoring was what we were focusing on. Yeah.
Wow, those 8 days.
It was powerful work, huh?
Swimming in the lily ponds, doing work with individuals, dancing wildly and crazy and just letting go and letting loose. And what we did with the relationship map and understanding the immature and the mature elements within myself of the masculine and the feminine, and being able to identify those immature masculine, feminine traits and how to grow up. You know, I really feel like in South Africa, I grew up. I got way more into my being and my body. And I did face fears. I absolutely had to like break through some of my conditioned understandings about being wild, being free, being a woman, being sexual, being awake. You know, it was the Tantra. So, yeah. It's interesting, Rianne, because coming back, so I was living in Maui and then took this journey and then returned to Mount Shasta, which is where I had lived for over 20 years. So I returned back to a community that hadn't seen me for some time, 3-4 years. And the comment that I have received from most people is, Joy, you've changed. You feel more here. You're more present, or you're, some of my awake friends, you're more embodied, which is what I wanted and what happened with all of the beautiful private sessions, time in nature, retreats, dances, conversations.
Beautiful when life gives us that reflection, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know you went to swim with the dolphins. I mean, the ocean in Cape Town and up in Mozambique is really deeply moving, isn't she? You just want to dissolve in her and immerse in her. She's such a teacher. And the dolphins, of course, as well. Such teachers.
Yeah, we were so gifted with one particular day with the dolphins, tons of them, and playfulness. And I've swam with dolphins on the Big Island in Hawaii quite a few times. So, but it's just different. And, you know, it's the cultural experience and the land, you know, the land, the Africa, the Mama Africa, yeah, powerful.
There's
You
a
know what?
strong vibration of the land, of the place. I feel that.
There's a grounding. It's just muddy and real and earthy and grounding. And I am very earth-based, always have been into gardening and hiking and camping and going barefoot and naked in nature as much as possible. And so I'm pretty attuned to land. And there's a strength that was just a feminine, deep strength that's hard to describe that I received.
Quite visceral, did you find? Quite a visceral felt sense in the body.
Yeah, you can kind of, I think I do know we can get transmissions from others, and we can even call in the energies of places. I've never been to Egypt, but I have been with people who have been to Egypt and talked about Egypt to the point where I feel and get impressions of it. And there's nothing like being there.
Yeah.
Our time in Berrydale with Kali, who's also a faculty of the Shakti Shiva Academy, her Santa Fe Sanctuary, Retreat Yourself, that 4 days was all about nuance, subtlety, sensing and slowing down. And that was needed.
Yeah.
That slow down, that relax, that connect with nature, and the beautiful conversations that Kirk and Kali and I were able to share. It was like one mind, but it was so much understanding. And this was very helpful for Kirk and my relationship, our relating, and therefore all who I relate with in the future. So while Kirk and I recently, just in January, have gone our separate ways, everything we did as a couple at the time through our time in South Africa has enriched me and my ability to be present with anyone, to understand, listen, to connect, to feel more comfortable in my being, not lose myself in my being, and also have space to feel another.
Yeah. It's everything that we uncover and unravel, and everything that reveals is gold, that we take with us into the next moment and the next moment, which brings me to, I think, the final piece that I'd like to just check in with you is that the return home, the integration, bringing the pearls back home and sharing them with your community. What does that look like for you?
It's continuing to unfold. I started a series on my YouTube channel where I'm having conversations. We did one, Kali and I, but wanting to have conversations with so many of the extraordinary people I met on the pilgrimage. And what that does for me is just continues to deepen what I've learned. I did take the sabbatical because I knew it was time to make a change and a pivot in my work and my life. And what I love about the Tantra path is dancing in polarity. So I just noticed my mind used to be more either or. And now I use my mind in a way where I can move through polarity, through the duality of and the dance of that in my life. And I bring something different to what I do. So, I'm a professional business trainer and coach, and I'm also a spiritual mentor and a facilitator of embodiment. As a body worker for many, many years, and now moving into yoga and other forms of energy work for embodiment, I am able to do it in new ways. That's I guess what I want to say more than anything. It's like it's changed everything for me. My sense of self, my confidence, my self-esteem, my inner authority, my sovereignty, my knowing how to even relax, my honoring the pace of grace, the pace that I take that is mine in each moment, my honoring my body.
Beautiful. A lot of rich learnings to take into.
Yeah. And even some of
life.
what we did, we also did the ayahuasca ceremony at Bodhi in South Africa. And so ceremony and ritual and so, yeah, much of what I do now.
I love that. Bringing that into our daily life. In some ways, that's maybe the most important thing, is starting to live as rhythmical, cyclical, seasonal humans, and that pace that you spoke of, allowing it to reveal rather than the forcing that we do as Western modern humans, this immediate everything. Really taking the time to notice, to be present, to enjoy, and to drop into the simplicity of what's right there all the time. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So my values changed. What mattered before I left, it was already disassembling and changing, which is why I had the call. I knew there was a new version of joy. So I had spent a lot of my life really chasing mountains, is what I said, but, accomplishing and achieving, getting my credentials, whatever. But it was pretty tick, 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 a lot of to-do lists and a lot of kudos for being such a powerful worker and entrepreneur. And now what matters is the one in front of me, the feeling inside of me, and truth. Truth matters. I can speak my truth to anyone with my heart. And I cleared a lot in these energy centers. There was shame, there was guilt, there was confusion, there were protective layers, front and back of body. I mean, we did de-armor. And that part was the brilliance of my yes.
Yeah.
When I got the call, I knew what I was in for. I'd already done fear, fear, desire, fear,
fear,
and
and taboo.
taboo, right? I'd already done some sexual shadow work. So I knew, you know, oh, there's more shadow, there's more fear here, but there's also more desire. And I'm going to gradually move myself beyond the edges of what I thought was possible. And in doing that, yeah, I'm way more free. I love who I am. I love my life.
Oh.
I for me, it was radical. I mean, I took a lot of time off, and I did 3 months, but I can imagine just for 2 weeks or 3 weeks in South Africa with all of you as someone living in the United States, it's a pilgrimage worth taking because
there's something radical about removing ourselves from our home environment where we become so homogenized. And I say this with the greatest respect that, America has a certain cultural aesthetic and a certain, things are just done a certain way, and just stepping out of that and putting yourself into another cultural environment that's very radically different. Europe's different, but Africa's that much more different. Something
Absolutely.
just in that mixes up things and really enables like a resetting, a repatterning of everything, a questioning of our tightly held beliefs that no longer serve us. There's this enabling of the unraveling of ourselves, which feels very supported when we step out of the routine of our lives.
Well, and I remember one of our guides in South Africa, Donna, and we, oh my goodness, so many people, but did mention, she's like, wow, for people coming from the United States, you guys are really devoted to truth. And it is true that I believe in my culture here, there's a lot of pretense. There's a lot of upholding and pretending and image-based living. And I didn't get that there. I just felt like people were more willing to be more real more quickly. There wasn't so much to uphold. There, that tension and that tightness that men and women both in the United States at times can adhere to without even knowing we're doing it. So yeah, there is a ton of value in getting out of that norm, getting out of that bubble. And then just one of my last comments would be that there was also a affirmation in seeing all of the evidence of awakening, the global awakening. It's happening. I mean, what's going on in the communities throughout my experience of South Africa, and mostly we were in the Cape Town area, but there's eco consciousness, there's health consciousness. And we met people at cafes that actually became hiking friends and partners. It was very, very friendly and amazing. And I said yes. And I was WhatsApping my community about our trip. And I just remember saying more evidence of the awakening, more evidence that this is happening on a global level.
It's a global phenomenon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's been inspiring witnessing your journey, both online and then traveling all the way here, and the availability and the totality with which you traveled and gave yourself to the unfolding and the awakening and your journey. I trust that this conversation will inspire other people to just listen deeply to that call and to have the courage to say yes and to follow the call and see where it takes them. So thank you for sharing and for chatting. And really grateful for you. Appreciate you.
My pleasure, my delight, my joy. Thank you, Rianne. Appreciate you.
Yeah.